Hello, welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. I'm Eric Hoernke. We are obviously very low production value here, uncut, unedited, unfiltered, all the stuff. It's a work in progress as always. Today I am going to be discussing I Am the Night, a TV miniseries at only 6 episodes long that aired on TNT in early 2019. This is based on the memoir of one Fauna Hodel, so based on a real story, and surrounds events tangential to the Black Dahlia murder, if anybody's ever heard of that. James Ellroy, who is the king of noir fiction, did a book based on the Black Dahlia murder that was great, the murder of Elizabeth Short, where this young girl was found basically dismembered, cut up, strewn about in LA. Nobody was ever caught for it, although some finger pointing was done. And that comes into play in this story. James Ellroy did a great novel about it. There was a not so great film adaptation of it starring Josh Hartnett. It really, if I recall, I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember it not being very good, so I would avoid that. This is a very good adaptation by TNT, starring Chris Pine and India Isley as the young Fauna Hodel. Chris Pine is a down on his luck journalist who kind of gets attacked. Is somebody who has been trying to get investigative journalism on some of these issues brought to the forefront. He has demons. He's an alcoholic. He was in Korea. This is set in the 60s. So right in that wheelhouse for noir fiction. He was in Korea. He has a lot of built stress, PTSD, probably undiagnosed as PTSD, probably wasn't exactly a thing yet then. Shell shock, or whatever they wanted to call it back then. He was suffering from it, and he was kind of a self-destructive character, shall we say. The real revelation here is young India Isley, though, who plays very young. I think she's like in her mid-20s, but she easily inhabits the role of a 16-year-old, looks very young. She has like an ethereal beauty about her, and as far as her acting goes, her chops, she can sit there with Chris Pine, who's obviously been in a lot of stuff and done very well, and hold her own right along with him. So, good job. So we start with young India Isley as Fauna Hodel. I think she has a different name. She grows up. It's a very odd situation. She grows up in this windswept small town, and she realizes that the life she's lived is somewhat of a lie. Her mom is not necessarily her mom. This, that, and the other. She finds out her grandfather. Her mom is this person named Tamar Hodel, and her grandfather is this person named George Hodel. It's very interesting because she's a mixed-race child. She starts thinking, that she's just a light-skinned black girl, and then I think she thinks she's mixed-race, and then she might not be any African-American at all, like based on the lies that have been told to her throughout her life. So that's an interesting sidebar to this whole thing. But she finds out her grandfather is this man, George Hodel. And George Hodel is this affluent LA socialite and doctor. And he basically has been accused of murder at various points. And he's actually connected to this Black Dahlia murder, which I think for the show's narrative occurs actually during the timeline of the show. So Fauna Hodel leaves her home, goes to LA, which is unclear exactly how far she is from LA. I don't think she's too far out because she can just take a bus in. But she goes in attempting to try to figure out who she is. And she doesn't realize the kind of beehive and possible life of a serial killer that she is stepping into. And then along comes Chris Pine's character, who plays, like I said, this journalist, trying to prove stuff that nobody wants him to prove because George Hodel is protected on high from the establishment, that nobody seems to really care that it's actually funny that nobody really seems to care whether or not he's a murderer, because everybody just sort of accepts him, likes him because he's rich and powerful. He's protected by Hollywood, he's protected by the police, he's protected by politicians. This guy's got ultra uber layer of protection. And it's these two intrepid people who kind of shake this all up, much to the establishment's detriment and much to possibly to their detriment as events play out. This is very well acted, very well written. It's well shot, but I kind of wish it would have had a grittier film noir feel to it in the actual shots and composition. It just doesn't feel quite there. It's still pretty good, but not quite there. At only 6 episodes, though, this is really a really tight narrative. It's easy to sit down and watch. It's not bloated at all. I don't think very many people watch this, as TNT isn't a very big name these days in original programming, high profile original programming. Usually people think of these kind of shows and think of Netflix or Amazon, maybe AMC as far as a network, but not really TNT per se. But I think this is very good, and I think it got kind of lost in the shuffle of basically a strew of content. And now that we are where we are and people have time, I think you should probably try and go check it out. I Am the Night by TNT. I'm not exactly sure what it's streaming on, but you should definitely worth a look-see, especially for those aficionados of that 50s, 60s era noir and true crime, as it were. I would give I Am the Night a B. Once again, thank you for watching. This is Zero Production Value Movie Reviews, and like and subscribe, and look forward to fresh content when I can get it out. Thanks again for watching.